All right, everyone. We got an interview with the not famous, the infamous JamieZ on his round the world tour. Thanks, Jamie. You can set that down. Jamie and I, this is the perfect setting, everyone, because we are in the town of Ugin in Cuba. Both Jamie and I are on our Cuba trip, and we've when we got off the boat, we separated, and this is about day 10.
Yeah.
And we happened to meet in town here. We crossed paths. He's heading, for the most part, west. I'm heading east. But anyways, great opportunity to talk to Jamie. So, Jamie, we want to know a little bit more about you, the people that are following your report. So why don't you tell us how you got here, from the beginning, as I put it, but not that far in the beginning.
Well, that's interesting because I grew up in a small town in Minnesota and never traveled, hardly ever. And I'm the only person in my family that is even interested in travel. I've got two sisters, and both of them have big families, and they basically stay home most of the time. And so I lived in Memphis, Tennessee for quite a while, went to school there. But most of my life I've worked in casinos. I've been a casino dealer, dealing blackjack and craps and roulette and all those things. And as much as I'm not proud of being a casino dealer, it really matches my lifestyle because it's flexible, it's easy, it pays well for the most part, and it gives me an opportunity to do things like this because I know when I get back, I can get another job in the casino business again and basically slide right back where I was before. So I ended up in Colorado in 2015, again working in the casinos there, and had this plan for a round the world trip for quite a while, but it seemed overwhelming financially. That was the part that I was stuck on, is how do I pay for something like this? And I just realized that I just have to do it. I just have to start putting money away every week, every month. And so for about 8 years, I've saved up. And with the pandemic coming on, I lost my job. And even though I wasn't planning to leave on this trip until later this year, I decided to leave last year because I wasn't working and I was paying rent, paying bills, and was not earning any money. And headed down to Mexico and had an opportunity to get on the boat over to Cuba. And so here we are.
Good segue into it. Right on. Now, I mean, have you, going back a little bit, did you always want, you talked about your family weren't travelers, but you are now. Did you always want, when did you have the vision to do a trip like this? When did that hit you? Because I can remember the time I wanted to do this trip very specifically, but when did you go, hey, I want to motorcycle travel? What part of your life was that?
So there wasn't one moment when that happened. I know when I got my driver's license, that was a big turning point for me. And suddenly I realized, wow, I can just go places.
Well, so you're talking as a teenager.
Yeah. So the day I got my learner's permit to drive, my mom, because of course she has to be in the car, and I drove to Canada that day. And then, once I got my driver's license where I could drive myself, I would just take 2 days and drive 3 states away. And
you realized the freedom, and you grabbed all of it, right?
And growing up, I was around motorcycles. My dad had a motorcycle when I was very little, and so I was interested in motorcycles. And I got a motorcycle when I was maybe 27 or 28, and did some travel on it. I'd just load up a duffel bag and put it on the back and just hit the road for a few days. And then I bought another bike that was a little better for travel. I had an accident with that one. But then I got into more of the adventure riding style bikes. I bought a V-Strom in, I don't remember when I bought that one, 2007. And I took my first long distance trip. I went to Mexico for 3 months. And that's really when this trip started to evolve, because I went to Mexico, I loved it, I went back home, and I realized I need to do something big. And I want to do more than Mexico. I want to go everywhere, really. And I was reading ride reports about people traveling through South America and Europe and Asia, all over, and just something I wanted to do. And again, as I mentioned earlier, it was the money. It was how to pay for that, and it's just work, just putting the money away and not spending money when I'm at home, not going out to drink with my friends every weekend.
And also, I've noticed you've been very good at budgeting yourself on this trip. You're actively making sure you're not plowing through your non-infinite resources.
Well, I do have an article called Budget Travel the JamieZ Way.
All right. Shameless plug for the article.
It is. It's a little outdated now. There's some things in there that I would change, but my trip to Mexico, whatever it was, almost 15 years ago, I spent $25 per day. And that started because people were telling me, budget about $100 per day. And I thought, my trip will be a week.
Right.
So I had limited resources, but lots of time, and I stretched it out, and so it's become just natural to me.
So tell us this. Speaking of stretching it out, we all know we're in Cuba right now, and Jamie has been on you've been in Mexico now for 3 months?
Yeah, roughly. I left middle of December.
Okay, middle of December. He was in Mexico riding. He jumped on the Stallrada like myself. We're in Cuba. We're going to be leaving here in about 2 weeks or so, or not even that. And you're going, so what I'm saying is, what's the next plan? So now you land in Mexico. Tell us what happens now, or then.
I think I'm going to go back to the U.S. I've got plans with friends and family back home. And I also have some plans in Canada with some Canadian friends. Right now, the border situation, that may be a problem.
But by the way, to set the stage, you have no home in Colorado anymore.
No.
No apartment, no base really to speak of. You are on your motorcycle.
Yes. So I have a car in Minnesota. I have a car in Colorado.
That's right.
And when I get back to Colorado, I'm going to get my car and I'm going to take it to the Arctic Ocean. Assuming, of course, that the Canadians let me in. So right now they don't. So maybe we'll see what happens in a couple of months. So that's my next plan. That was actually going to be the start of my trip. Is I was going to go to Alaska first, and then turn around and come back south and go through Mexico and that sort of thing. But after the pandemic hit and I lost my job and I was just sitting at home, I decided to leave a few months early. So that's how I ended up in Mexico in December, and Cuba now.
So you do the Arctic Ocean in your car.
My car.
And I think you remember you're going to sell it at that point.
I hope to sell it in Alaska.
Okay.
And that way I'm free of everything except for my bike.
And then you have a bunch of cash. Hopefully,
a little
bit, and then you fly back to your motorcycle.
Yes.
And then
head south.
All right. Okay.
Hopefully by then, that'll be the fall of 2021. So hopefully the pandemic situation will be more under control. I'll probably have a vaccine at that point. And because I believe right now the border situation in Central America and South America, I think a lot of the borders are still closed. So hopefully by then, or maybe September, October, November, the borders will be open and I can cross.
And do you hope to do the jump to South America?
Yeah.
Over the Darien Gap? Okay, yep. So you're going full bore, Ushuaia, Fin del Mundo.
I don't think I'm going to do that. For some reason, that just doesn't appeal to me. I read a lot of ride reports.
Right.
It's Cuba.
Yeah. This is Cuba. This is a quiet day in Cuba, by the way.
Yeah, Ushuaia doesn't really appeal to me unless I happen to be close and it's there, but...
That's a big trip. So actually, what I want to wrap up with is one last thing. Jamie and I were talking about this last night, and it's the aspect when you are out of your environment, as we are. We're in a new country. We're not fluent in the language. You get uncomfortable. There are times when you're uncomfortable. Things are happening, and you don't feel in control. When you get in those situations, what do you do? What do you suggest to people who want to travel, and they're going to be in these uncomfortable situations?
Wow, that's something I still struggle with. So I'm pretty introverted, and some of the tools that I've used to help me is for one, I ride a motorcycle, and so being on a motorcycle exposes you to everything. You're exposed to the environment. You're open. Everyone can see you, and people are more likely to come up and they want to talk. That helps me because I'm not the kind to go talk to other people unless they come to me first. So just riding a motorcycle, that's part of it. A lot of times I'll take my map out and just open it up. And it's not just for show. I mean, I'm using a paper map, and people see that and they want to come up and ask you what you're doing. So those are my techniques to kind of
break the ice.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
From another strategy that I use, if I find myself in a situation where I'm not, I'm not understanding what's happening, is I just have to take a pause and say, okay, evaluate everything around me. Is there anything dangerous? Am I being scammed? And if I take a moment to think about those things, that usually helps me decide what my next steps should be. So that
break it down to little chunks. I'm not in danger. I'm okay. I understand a little. I agree. Yeah, and it relieves the tension of those situations.
And I also have to always keep in mind that almost everywhere you go, especially here in Cuba, everyone wants to help you. Everybody's so friendly. So most of the time, it's not a scam. Nobody's trying to steal anything from you. It's just people being helpful, and it's their own idea of being helpful, which may not be what you're looking for, but I always keep that in mind. Is most of the time it's not a scam. And that's why we're out here. It's just because it's the people. It's
the experience.
The experience of meeting people and exchanging. Having an exchange a cultural exchange with other people.
I think that's a good note to end this on, Jamie. Appreciate your time and wish you the luck on the rest of the trip. And I'll see you in 8 days in Cienfuegos. And maybe there's a boat there to take us home.
I hope there is.
All right, Jamie. Thank you.
Thanks,
All
man.
right, you got it. Bye.